There we go.
How you guys doing? It's your girl Maya G with
Victor Jr., your brother with an open heart.
And today again, you join us back in Spiritual Agility, and we'll be talking about dependency. Whether it's being dependent on substances, being dependent on the government, or being dependent on any drugs or alcohol or partners or parents. My God. What are some of your bosses? Right. So what are your struggles with dependency, Victor?
I actually struggled with addiction most of my life. So I became very dependent on my methamphetamine use when I was using methamphetamine. And I had to, and that led me down a rabbit hole of other dependencies. So, not making money. So I had to depend on other sources of income, free income, whether it was from the state or from other people. And it led down that rabbit hole where it was hard to get out of. And then I started to be dependent on my partners because they're the ones who had the cash.
So would you say that dependency is more like a psychological thing that you've been dealing with? Do you think that it has to do with genetics? Was there any other people in your family that are very dependent or codependent, I should say?
There is a lot of people in my family that are very dependent.
Okay.
Because I believe it was like my grandmother's fault. She tried to do everything for us, but there were some grandkids, and yes, I'm going to say this, that she didn't care for. And those ones actually made more of themselves than the ones that were more dependent on grandma. So I think it was like a seated thing, and we're not necessarily seated, but we were raised to, okay, she's going to do my laundry. She's going to feed me at the table. I just have to sit down at the table. She's going to bring my plate. And the other kids that weren't really the favorites had to go get their own plate. They had to even wash their own plate.
Wow.
So they were used to doing that. So I think it screwed me up basically, or I allowed it to screw me up in my adulthood, because now I'm not blaming other people. I'm blaming myself.
Yes. Accountability.
Accountability.
For sure.
So I think people get dependent on everything as long as it's easily coming to you, like jobs. Okay. You could be in a job, you might not like it, but you're dependent on the income to pay your bills. So you stay there and you stay stuck there. And
then that goes back to fear.
That goes right back to fear.
Yeah.
Because you're afraid to lose that income. You're
That's
afraid
security.
to do what you want, that your heart desires to do in life, because you're afraid of not being successful.
But would you say that using any kind of drugs also, even though that is a form of dependency, wouldn't you say it also blocks fear? So that emotional of fear, the drugs actually, blocks that, so you don't get to feel it.
You don't feel it, and you don't care what you're doing, and you don't care what other people think or feel about it, and it messes with you mentally.
Okay.
But even caffeine. There's dependency on caffeine.
For sure. Yes. Oh my God. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And the way America and society is set up, people think that having a cup of coffee every morning, three cups of coffee a day is normal, but it's not. Caffeine is really not good for you. The amount of stress that it puts on your heart, my God, that's a whole different conversation. Would you say that being dependent on the drugs was genetics, or was it just something that you learned on your own?
Not genetics. My dad was an alcoholic when I was little, when I was living with him.
But that's a form of addiction, though.
That's a form of addiction.
But addiction is genetics.
Yes.
So what you get addicted to, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But addiction, the trait itself is genetics. Right.
Yeah. So I believe that. Yeah. So
and it could be positive addiction. It could be negative addictions.
Oh, yeah.
But it's definitely genetics. You didn't pick that up on your own.
There's not really any positive addiction.
I don't know. We addicted to this spirituality thing. That's pretty positive, I think.
Yeah, it's positive. I don't
because I'm addicted to getting better.
I think that's what it is.
That's a positive addiction.
I don't know if I would call it addiction personally.
What would you call it?
I would call it striving to better myself, because I'm not addicted to that, because I haven't had full success as I was growing in life.
You gotta love the English language, because there's a word for everything. I digress. Carry on. There's a word for. Could you find a word in Spanish to say this?
Sí, claro que sí, puedo decirlo en español, ¿cómo no?
Ya tú sabes. So going back to family and the traits that we inherit from them. One thing that I can say personally on how to combat certain things is I believe in hypnotherapy. That's just me. That's what I believe in. There's different things that people can do to overcome their dependency, addiction, and I think hypnotherapy is one of them.
Yeah.
That can definitely be effective. If you tried everything else, I'm not really big on medication. However, there are certain things that the body is dealing with on a scientific level that medication does help with.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, if you're finding a disease or any kind of deficiency or something like that, yes, medication works.
Yeah.
But as far as addiction goes, I think that once we're able to figure out that it is genetics,
Yeah.
then at that point, hypnotherapy is an option. What do you think?
I think that's true. I've not tried hypnotherapy, but I do get it when you're talking about even like certain medications because people get dependent on certain medications.
Yeah, and then also, without spilling the beans, we're working on some different things that once it gets released, you guys will be the first one to know. And some of that is going to be dealing with addiction and dependency and a lot of other things that we both struggled with. And once we find a fix, we're going to bring it to you guys so you guys can try it out and kind of give us your positive feedback.
And I think dependency is actually I think it's a process over time because you don't just, maybe some people, I can just speak for myself through my own experience, is when I first did drugs, I wasn't really dependent on it because I didn't really, I wasn't doing it that often. And then I started to become more and more dependent on it because it numbed me. It numbed my mind. And I was like, hey, wait a second. I'd rather numb my mind than to sit back and think about when I was abused. I'd rather numb my mind than to sit back and think about when my partner cheated on me. I'd rather sit back, or I'd rather numb the pain, the mental pain, physical pain, even emotional pain. So it's numbing. And once you get used to that numbing and it, quote unquote, goes away temporarily, I will say, then you start to love that. So you're always chasing the dragon.
The white dragon.
Yep,
yes.
Trying to chase the dragon so that you can hide all that. So after going into rehabilitation, my 90 days rehab, I learned to refocus my mind. I didn't take any medications to stop using.
Amazing.
I had to refocus my mind. And I believe only because I went through it personally, and I know some people are stronger than others, but I believe that we can do it. It can be done.
It's a decision.
By your mind work. I was tired. I was tired of waking up and not having any money. I was tired of walking down the street to see if anybody threw shoes out in their front yard so I could take them and use them because I didn't have any shoes. And I was tired of being dependent after the drugs, which led to dependency on my government check, which led to dependency on friends, family, and a whole bunch of other dependencies that I couldn't control. I was out of control. That's why people get out of control when they keep using and they are fully addicted.
Yeah.
So you have to tame your mind, get back into control of your mental, spiritual, and then physical. And it takes time. It's a process, but it has to be done and it can be done.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what I learned at a very, very young age was that the mind is like a wild monkey. And we must tame this wild monkey, because if we don't, because the more okay you say to your mind to the crazy things that it's trying to get you involved in, the more crazy thing it keeps coming up with.
Yeah.
If it says go in the kitchen, get a knife, and you go in the kitchen, you get a knife. Okay, now go ahead, stab the wall. You go ahead and stab the wall. Next time it's gonna tell you to do something crazier. And depending on what your belief system is, some people say they hear voices, things from their past, genetics. That's why when somebody said, well, XYZ was a murderer, if you do some research, you'll find out that trait ran in the family. Or if somebody's a sex addict, you do some research, you'll find out either they got abused as a kid or it was in the family. So when it comes to dependency, addiction, or anything like, of that sort, generally it has to do with, some genetics, yes, but us also not knowing how to tame the beast within.
And when you brought up right now that our minds are like monkeys, Darwin theory.
Wild monkeys.
The Darwin theory
Yes.
was we came from monkeys and then we lost our tail. Well, if you think about it, when we're children, we're like monkeys. We're always going, we're touching things.
Yes,
We're mimicking,
definitely that.
We're mimicking, which
Yes.
that's where when we mimic, our parents or our family or friends, that's how we learn our.
And our genes do too. Our
Yes.
genetics mimic it
Yeah.
mimics some of mom, some of dad's genetics.
Yeah.
And then it comes into our dormant self.
That's right.
Right. And then depending on how the subconscious is trained from 0 to 9 years old, then that's gonna either nourish or kill the genetics that we're already born with.
That's right.
That's like real stuff, guys.
So
you can't make this stuff up.
You can't. So the Darwin theory, I think, is pretty accurate, not necessarily for the past, but for as we are when we're born. Like the monkey, we mimic, we do things. And then as you get older, you start to hopefully you come into realization if you can take control of your mind and not allow the addiction or whatever
The
you're
dependencies,
dependent on,
yeah.
take control of your life. Then you start getting more wise. Then you lose your monkey tail,
Yes.
quote unquote,
Yes.
and
Yes,
you
that's
become
true.
more wise. That's why everybody who's older is more wise.
Oh my God, very. I'm not older yet. I'm just getting older. And I'm telling you, the wisdom that I have now is wow. And I know I still don't know nothing. That's the beauty of it. You still don't know nothing.
We'll never be teachers. We'll always be students. We'll always be students of the earth.
Absolutely, for
And
sure.
it's how we grow and how we view life and how we care for our own life and the life of others.
But I have a question for you. Now, you talked about your addiction in the past. Now, do you fear being in the presence of drugs? Or do you feel like you've conquered it so much that it's like it's nothing to you?
I've recently found drugs, and I used to do rideshare driving. And
what's that?
Like Lyft and Uber.
Oh, got it. Right share drive. I've never heard of that. I thought it was a sharing drive share. Ride sharing. I thought it was ride sharing. Oh, yes. Go ahead.
And I heard people talking about it. They're going to parties. They have stuff. I'm like, okay, I got to drop you off now. It's taking yourself.
Have you conquered that yet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So can you be next to a needle and it won't bother you?
Oh, yes, I can. I definitely
Give me 5 on
can.
that.
Yes.
That's it. Yes, I'm proud of you. That's
I
what's
can't
up.
say that for myself 3 years ago. It's been 7 years now.
Wow.
It's been 7
Okay.
years
Magical
since-
number.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you manage now when you're in that place of feeling insecure? Because we all get insecure. I don't care. The most wealthiest people have admitted that they get insecure about one thing or another. So when you're in that space and you feel insecure or you feel not enough or you feel you're not going anywhere, you feel stuck, which, back in the days, 7 years ago or past beyond that, you had this needle to depend on. So now how do you cope with it when that happens? You just roll a joint and call it a day, or what do you do?
No,
have a drink? What?
No, actually I don't. But I turn mentally, to myself mentally, and I remember my past. I remember what it didn't give me.
Got it.
Because I had a dependency to cover for what I lacked in life.
Okay.
And so it created more lack in my life. So I knew where that took me. I knew where it took me in life, which was really nowhere. It took me down.
Gotcha.
And I lost a lot, almost even my own life. And so I think of myself as a miracle, because if you just think of the world itself out here in space, it's so amazing and so precious that I think when we grow older and we lose our tail, like Darwin says,
right?
We're wiser. It's the experiences of the past that keep me from going back there. Now, I don't stay stuck there looking at it, but if I see a needle or somebody using, even on the street, because I've seen people using on the streets or by liquor stores or whatever, I will turn around and say to myself, like, I feel sorry for you in my mind, and say, God, just show them the light. Just share the light upon them.
Yeah, sometimes you can pray. It's amazing how you could pray for strangers just by looking at them and sending prayers their way, or not even, or just, energetically sending prayers their way. So that's awesome.
And I think now it's not even overindulging in other things, because they say that, if you get drunk, you don't know what you're doing. Well, I've been, I drink still, but I don't drink all the time because I don't want to create that dependency in my life.
For sure. You don't.
So I'll just drink a little bit here and there, get buzzed, but
that's good enough.
Yeah, that's good enough, because I don't want to go down, like you said, that rabbit hole of another thing, and then one thing leads to another, and
then you also have to learn how to check yourself.
Before you wreck yourself, check yourself.
You have to know when to check yourself when things are getting out of control, and you need to, when to pull that trigger. Okay, 2 drinks, that's enough. I don't drink. And not because of anything. What I did notice is what brown liquor would make me aggressive, and too aggressive. And outside of the health factors, I don't want to be under any influence that's going to control the outcome on how I respond to things. So that's the reason why I don't drink.
It limits your, when you do, like me, I'm the opposite. When I drink, oh my God, you want me to be drunk with you in a bar, because I'll buy you all your drinks. I'm the complete off. I don't get angry. I was drunk one time in the Bay Area. Some guy walked up to me and punched me, and I started heck of laughing. I'm like, bro, what are you tripping on?
Wow.
So I'm the type of person.
He's a happy drunk. He's a happy drunk. So I'm not the happy drunk. I'm happy sober.
I lose out.
Yeah.
I'm not happy drunk.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to spend all my money on everybody.
Yeah, that's not good.
Friendly, and
that's not going to work.
So there's a balance, and it's not really, when it happens, putting yourself in check, it's keeping yourself in check from the beginning.
That part.
You got to keep yourself in check. You got to keep yourself in check when you're at a club or whatever.
For sure.
You got to keep yourself in check. Like, there are people who smoke weed. I smoke at night when I go to bed. I don't do it during the day. Why? Because I got to check myself. If I do that during the day, I'm not going to get nothing accomplished. And besides, it's not to do it to just keep yourself high. It's doing it because you have to heal something, or, you're trying to suppress or go to sleep, actually, if you can't sleep.
Yeah.
But the good thing that CBD's came in. So now you don't really need that hallucinogenic stuff. Just the CBD works perfect without the hallucinations.
For sure. And we'll put some link in the description where you can get some CBD products also.
Yes. So I believe that dependency is, like you said, it's inherited, but I believe it's controllable.
Oh yeah.
Very controllable.
I don't know if I'm addicted to anything. My parents both smoked when I was growing up. I hate smoking. I think I've talked to you about that. I've seen, drinking in the family, also excessive drinking. I personally decided that I was not going to let that be a factor. On my dad's side, they're morbidly obese. As you know, I'm very cautious and careful with that. I think I might just be addicted to just trying to be the best that I can. I'm definitely addicted to that.
And that's a positive. Do you think that there's positive addictions and negative addictions? Of course,
right? I mean, the word addiction is a negative word, but I do believe that it's like almost being overly religious. There is that borderline to where it's okay if you're just doing it yourself, but once you start pushing that on other people, then that can be considered to be bad, because you're trying to control other people's free will. So I want to be better for myself, and I think that as long as I keep it here. Now, if Victor comes along and say, "Hey, Maya, I see you doing this, what suggestion you have for me?" So I can do the same thing. That's different. But in a nutshell, if I'm pushing whatever I'm obsessing over on other people, I think that's when it becomes a negative thing.
Yeah, definitely. When you're making something,
because you're violating other people's rights.
That's right.
And free will.
You're forcing them into your own belief. And we got to remember, just like an argument, you never win.
Oh no, there's no winning in arguments.
Because you're always going to feel like you're right. Yeah. And the other person's always going to feel like you're right. They're right.
And the perception of the truth comes from experience, really, because we both can go through something. And because of my own hangups, your own hangups, the experience could be completely different.
Oh yeah.
And we both went through the same thing, Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's definitely
and
interesting.
It's what we've done with that experience mentally. Are we holding on to it?
True.
are we holding on to it? Are we dragging it with us? I don't know if you heard the story of the monk crossing the river.
Was that with the scorpion? Or that was the monk? No, that was the turtle with the scorpion.
Yeah, the turtle with the scorpion. This one is the monk who's with the younger monk, and they're supposed to not, talk to women or even look at women, but there's a woman who's stuck trying to cross the river.
Okay.
So the older monk picked her up and carried her across the river and put her down. Kept walking, and then the other monk was really upset and sad as they were walking for hours. They got to their first town, were going to bed, and he said to the monk, how could you do what you did? And he said, what do you mean? He said, and I'm not even sure if I'm telling the story right, but he said, how could
correct us if we're wrong?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong.
Because the way the memory's set up around here.
Yeah. But he said, you carried her across the river, and we're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to look at women. The monk said, yeah, but I left her at the river. You're still carrying her. So it's what we hold on to in our heads of what are you carrying?
Aha!
Don't allow your past to stick with you now currently in life, because it is the past. You have to pick up and take what you learn from it. You either use it to help yourself and others or lose it completely, because if it's not going to help you or others, then it's not going to ever be a positive in your life. You have to lose it. Leave it at the river. Definitely
leave it at the river. Wash it off. Yep. Wash it over. Man, so today we talked about addiction, attachments. What about money?
Money is
the money, the dependency. Money, dependency on money. How does that work?
It does, and both. I don't know if I want to say positive or negative, but it works both ways. Whether you have too much money or not enough money, because when you don't have enough money, you're dependent on other means. Whether even some people will steal just to get more money. So
this is what I have learned about money. Money is a slave and I am the master.
That's right.
That's one. Two thing is, you will treat money like a jealous lover. You will respect money and you will use money tactfully and smart.
That's right.
And if you don't, your money will leave you and find itself in the hand of another.
And I think people, they want to,
because it's all energy.
Yeah, it's all energy.
It's all energy.
People want it.
Literally.
And then they want to hold on to it instead of cycling through it. And that's when I believe the dependency kind of comes on, because they're in the fear. They're afraid of losing it. They're afraid of losing it, which blocks the fear of them getting it again, because money, like energy, wants to flow.
Oh, it really does. It don't want to sit there. That's why, there's people with investment rich, but cash poor, because they have their money like spread all over the place and they're constantly cycling it through.
Yep.
And, and what I learned personally, because I used to be a hoarder, like I have like 50,000 sitting there, and I know there's a couple of things that I need to handle, but I'm like, nah, I don't want to take no money out. Opportunities, real estate opportunities come up, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to take no money out. And now, man, where's the opportunity, and do I have enough to invest in it? But that's just me.
I think people don't realize too. I've come up with a concept in my own mind. Correct me if you feel I'm wrong, but money, if it's laying right here, it doesn't move. I have to pick it up and move it. So money, I don't need the money.
No, the money needs you.
Needs me.
That's why you're the master and the money's the slave, And I think that once you get that understanding concept, then all the dependency that we have on it goes away. It's like, I saw so many memes this week on the 1,400 stimulus check that the government was dropping, and somebody said to me, so Maya, what you gonna do with your 1,400? I'm like, you know what? There's this penny stock that I've been looking at. Since this is not really my money, it's the government giving me something to help me out. I think I'm gonna take the whole 14 and dump it on this stock. And they just looked at me. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, because if it makes $1, that's money that was not mine anyway.
That's right.
And I'm like, if not, then I'll probably buy myself another laptop to be able to cast for this podcast for you guys. But it was like, oh my God, this 14 is coming. And not to say that we can't use the extra money. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, I've gotten to a place where I'm no longer dependent on it, and I'm so happy.
And that's the thing, since money, like you said, money is
Someone get a
energy.
question.
And with energy on money is if it's not flowing, it's not going to come to you.
No,
Because
absolutely.
you're stopping it. You're stopping it from flowing. You're keeping it in your pocket. You're keeping it in your bank account. Of course, I'm not saying to empty out your bank account. No, you always want to have your secure whatever, but don't block the money from evolving or moving.
And then pay your debt.
next.
Pay your debt is another thing that I'm
Yes.
finding out. If you owe people money and you got the money in the bank, I'm telling you right now, the money will find a way to leave you and go be with somebody else.
That's not my money.
That's something that I'm learning. I'm learning all this stuff, and it's so true.
It is.
Like, it's like, wow, why didn't it teach us this as kids? But I don't think they knew. So it's all good. We love your mom and dad. It's okay. We're not upset. We're not upset.
They're trying to hoard their money.
For sure, man. For sure.
That's why there's only a certain small percentage of people. You take people who are born into money. They've never worried about it.
No.
So it's always flowing in their life. They know how to get it. They know how to process it.
You could take all the money from them and drop them in the middle of nowhere.
And they'll find a way.
They
to
will
make
end up
more
being
money.
wealthy. Yes.
Because they have no
Unbothered
energy.
Yeah, money's definitely energy. Now, we covered money, and we're going to talk about love, because money and love are kind of like the same way, same thing. You ever notice that once you have a ring on, engagement ring, wedding band, you're like the most attractive person. Everybody want to be with you. Well, see, a lot of people are single because they are dependent on a lover. And that actually pushes people away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So that when you walk into a room, people can just smell how single you are. Because that energy, that dependency of not being enough, it just exudes from your skin.
Yeah.
And one way that I've learned, well, I've always been a little cocky with it. So, I can't say I know personally, but what I've noticed with people that are single for an extended period of time is that they're too dependent. And I think that has to do, that's another genetic thing.
I think insecurities fall into that point too. Like for myself,
Okay.
I've been so dependent on having a lover, having a partner, because I was afraid to be alone.
I love being alone.
Now I do.
Jesus
I have so much time in my day. I have so much time in my day to do the damn thing workshop this week, to do the podcast, to work on other little projects that I have. And it's that space after that was my aha this time coming here to Florida, is that I don't have my mind occupied worried about my partner. And you should never worry about your partner. Now I've realized that. Now I have my mind more free, free to do what I want, to do what I love, to do what I enjoy doing, being here with you, talking to people. And it's that freedom. And I'm no longer dependent on a relationship. I don't need a man right now.
Yeah.
I never did.
I think the honest truth is about love and dependency and codependent behavior or partners is that everybody is struggling with something.
Oh yeah.
And that emotion of not being enough is a real thing. Okay. And if you know that if your mind, your body is telling you need a man, you need a woman, you need a lover, that need, that emotion need that you're feeling, go figure that out before you get yourself involved with anybody. Because one thing you don't want to do is need anything.
Nope.
Need money, need friends, need lovers, need anything. You want to be so free so that when people come around you, they feel energized. They don't feel drained. Because one thing about being dependent is when you get around people, you drain them and they can feel it. And nobody's trying to be your lover when you're draining folks. Money's not going to come in your pocket if you're draining. And you're definitely going to get slapped left and right by spiritual awakening, because spiritual awakening want to wake you up to get out of your own way. So for me, having said that, I, carry myself. If I'm having a day that I don't feel 100%, where I feel like I'm going to be dependent on something, I just take a step back.
You have to.
And I'll go meditate. Real talk, I'll go meditate, listen to some music. Music just recharges me.
I think people also become they're so dependent on having somebody in their life that when they don't get somebody, they get a kitten. They get a puppy.
Yeah, but to me, it's like, why not heal this need first, then get a dog?
Yeah,
Then
first.
just get a dog after that.
Right?
Heal the need
Yes.
first, then get a dog. Don't go get a dog and turn the dog or people. I was just talking about that, people that turn their kids into their partner. Like I see women that have sons, and it's like they treat their son as if the son is their husband. No, it's not.
Let them go. Let them live their life.
Let the kid go. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I don't know why I just said that, but just let the kids go.
Dependency holds on so
Tight
to people,
choking you.
But as soon as you start realizing that dependency, whether it's money, relationships, business, pets, coaches.
How you gonna put pets right after business? Like, what is that? Like, what is going on here?
Unless you have a pet business, no.
That's true.
But you know that I think as we wake up and we realize that it's up to us to stop being dependent. It's up to us to take the actions. It's up to us to stop the addiction. It's up to us to continue the flow of money. It's up to us, and we are in control. A lot of people don't believe that they're in control. That's why, yeah, my life's out of control. Well, yeah, your life's out of control.
So is your mind, and so is your speech.
That's right.
You know, because the power is definitely in the thoughts and in the tongue.
Tame the monkey.
Tame that thought, tame that tongue. I think I covered all of them. I covered relationship, covered money, all that great stuff. If you really enjoyed the message today, be sure to share with somebody that's dear to you. This is a new channel, Spiritual Agility, really pushing your spirituality to the next level and how much agility it will take. It's your girl, Maya G. and
Victor Jr.
Until next time, guys, take care, and we love you.
We love you. Bye.
You gotta press this one too.